Little Booktubers, I'm Becky Bookworm and I'm here today to do my July wrap-up. Since my last wrap-up I've read 6 books and read 2 graphic novels. A couple of those books were audiobooks, which as we know makes things easier because you can do your washing up or you can ride to work and still get your book done. The first book is Moon Over Soho by Ben Aaronovitch. This is the second in the Peter Grant trilogy. I'm just thinking, have I already spoken about this? I don't think I have. If I have, sorry. If I haven't, it's going in my wrap-up. And this is the second book in the Rivers of London series, which is about a guy who is a police officer called Peter Grant, and he gets embroiled in some weird and wonderful dark magic-y type things that he has to investigate. Ends up getting enlisted by this secret police force and finding out that he's actually a kind of wizard and he can create magic, and he has to train and try and catch the magical bad guys. So it's set in London, and you can tell the guy that wrote this knows absolutely tons about London because there's a lot of detail about the streets and the surroundings. By the time we get to book 2, without any spoilers, it's coping with the aftermath of what happened in the first book, which if you've read it, a lot of horrible shit went down. And he's carrying on with that, but also continuing because, of course, more horrible shit is happening that Peter has to work with people to try and get to the bottom of. And it turns out, in this one, various local jazz musicians are dropping dead of a heart attack, but when Peter gets to the scene, he realises that it's something to do with magic because he can sense it by this, I think it's a vestige that gets left behind when magic's been done. So he goes to try and figure out what's going on. I really like Ben Aaronovitch's writing. He has a really casual, funny, snappy way of writing, and I really enjoyed it to the point where I gave it 4 stars out of 5. Next up is 100 Shadows by Huang Yungjin. I may have pronounced that wrong, sorry. I got this as part of a Mothbox a while ago, and I've just got around to reading it. I read it as part of the 24 in 48 readathon. If you don't know what that was, I will link my video up here if I can figure out how to do it. And it's a weird one. I really enjoyed it. What is it about? So it tells the tale of a group of people who live in so-called slums that have a lot of electrical shops, and rich people are wanting to move everyone out and knock them down and build something more appealing to the eye. And we follow a couple of these people, and there's something about people's shadow, there's like a magical element. People's shadows are leaving them and trying to lead people places, and they just chat about it like it's a perfectly normal thing, and you shouldn't really follow them. And it talks about the mundane things in these people's lives, but in such a beautiful way that it's really compelling. So I did really enjoy that book, and I definitely recommend it. It's not action-packed, it's quite a slow burner, but it is beautiful the way it's written, and you find yourself invested in ththese characters even though you're not entirely sure where the story's going. I gave that 4 out of 5, feeling pretty generous this month. Next up, Alien Salvation. This is the graphic novel, again, part of the 24 in 48 readathon. I quite enjoyed this. It is what it is. It is just a continuation of the general alien story. People go to planet, find out planet is full of aliens, shit goes down, people try and escape, everyone dies, people screw each other over, it turns out... No, I'm not going to spoil it actually, I'm not going to say what it turns out. No character development, but why do you need it? Everyone's going to die. I enjoyed the graphics. I'll probably put a bit up here so you can see what they're like. But yeah, it was enjoyable. Not amazing, but it was alright. Gave that 3 stars. Oh, ice cream van. Oh, I stopped. Don't know if you could hear that. If you couldn't, then I just look like a knob. Every Heart a Doorway was the next book I read, and that's by Seanan Maguire. This is a very hyped book. It is all over BookTube. I don't really know what else to say. It didn't disappoint. I got through this book really quickly. It's not a big book, it's like 170 pages, I think, something like that. And it's just really enjoyable. It's a lot darker than I thought. For those that don't know, I'll really quickly summarise. There's a school set up for kids that come back from maybe alternate realities, or no, not alternate realities. There's a school set up for kids that come back from other worlds that they've been whisked away to. All these worlds are completely different and absolutely suited to each individual that goes. When they come back, all they know is that they've only ever been happy when they were in those worlds, and they desperately want to get back. So the parents drop them off at this school under the premise that they're going to get fixed. However, the woman that runs it has been to other worlds too, so she believes them and she tries to help them accept that their doorway may never come back. They may just have to try and cope with everyday life. However, when we're there and we're with everybody in the house, somebody starts bumping off the kids in equally gruesome and horrible ways. So it's about them trying to find out who's done that, why they're doing it, and will anybody's door ever reappear? Will they get to go back? Like I said, absolutely amazing. I gave that 4.5 stars out of 5. Next up, The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the first in, I think, 4 or 5 books. I listened to this on audiobook. Now, I think I'm going to have to admit defeat and actually stop listening to fiction on audiobook because I do it while I'm doing things. Sometimes my mind will wander, or the washer will be really loud and I'll miss a load of it, or I'll go into another room and I lose the thread of the story, and I think it affects how much I enjoy the book. Because I did quite enjoy this story, but I didn't link with the characters, but I couldn't help feeling that it was probably because I'd missed some key points in the book when I was busy doing other things or when my mind had wandered. But I find with non-fiction it's easier to follow because there's not generally a plot that you have to follow, it's just listening to information. So I think after I finish The Ocean at the End of the Lane, which I'm currently listening to, I'm probably going to try and stick to non-fiction on my Audible account for a while. But The Raven Boys, quite enjoyable. It's a fantasy about a girl called Blue who amplifies mediums' signals, so if they get flashes of the future or messages from ghosts and that sort of thing, she amplifies that. Her family are in that trade. She has known since she was little that she was going to kill the only boy that she will truly ever love by kissing him, or after kissing him or something. They're not entirely sure of the actual rules. But then there's this group of Raven Boys, and these guys are doing something weird, trying to find ley lines, and there's a bit of confusion going on. Like I said, I feel like I've missed important bits of this story, and I don't really want to give stuff away. But yeah, it was quite enjoyable. I'm kind of tempted to get the book out of the library and actually read it and see if I like it any better, because the bits that I did hear sounded great, but again, I feel like I was just missing something. So I gave that 3 out of 5, but I'm probably going to try and read it again and I'll let you know. So The Wicked and the Divine, Volume 5, was the next thing I read. The Wicked and the Divine, how to explain it? People randomly find out that they're a god and they change into these gods. From then, when they change, they have 2 years to they have 2 years to live their lives, and they live it in the lap of luxury as kind of rock star type people, and they have special powers and they're worshipped. But somebody starts killing them and nobody knows why, so they're trying to investigate that. And there's a lot of, I guess because there's a group of them and they're all young and they're all fiery and they all know that they're heading towards a premature death, there's a lot of relationship friction between everybody, and then obviously with the added stress that somebody's killing them off even earlier than the 2 years. So it's a really good story. There's been a couple of weak issues and a couple of good strong issues. This issue I did really like again, though the beginning issue was like a magazine with interviews in it, which was a bit weird, but quite interesting. I liked what they were trying to do, and then the rest of it was just normal, like graphic novel comic type stuff. I gave that 5 out of 5 because I really enjoyed it. Next up was another audiobook, which is Eddie Izzard's autobiography or memoir, I guess. It's called I'm going to read it because it's a long title. It's called Believe Me, a memoir of love, death and jazz chickens. And I did enjoy it. It was pretty good. I find Eddie Izzard, when he does his stand-up, I love him. I think he's really funny. When he was reading this audiobook, I don't know, I found he fell a bit flat for me. Don't get me wrong, I found the story really interesting. I enjoyed it a lot. He's lived an interesting life and he's worked bloody hard to get where he's gone, and he's gone out of his way to show that he didn't just wake up and was amazing. He actually went through a lot of things, was shit at a lot of things, and then got better and just kept plodding forward and not taking no for an answer, so that was really good. But there were some things where he'd talk about stuff and then do a little laugh afterwards, and it just wasn't really funny. It was almost like, you know, like if it was your dad, you'd be like, oh, Dad, not funny, kind of thing. It was a bit like that, but I enjoyed hearing his thoughts on gender, and listening to when he did the 27 marathons in 27 days and his early days performing at Edinburgh Fringe and how he got bigger and bigger. It was good. I enjoyed it. So I gave that 4 out of 5. And finally, the last book I read was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get to this book. My partner bought it for me at Christmas and I still hadn't got round to reading it. So I figured it was about time, and bloody hell, what a book. I totally get why people love it now. I thought I knew what was going to happen because I have heard people talk about it, but I really didn't. So the main protagonist, she meets a guy called Maxim in Monte Carlo. She's not very well off. She's working as kind of a companion for this rich, annoying, brazen, loud woman. And she meets this guy called Maxim and they start going out on trips and she falls in love with him and they have a whirlwind romance and he whisks her away, marries her, and then they go back to his giant mansion called Manderley. When she gets there, she finds out that he is a widow and his ex-wife was this beautiful, perfect, wonderful being called Rebecca. All the house staff love Rebecca. Everything in the house is the same as when Rebecca lived there, and in particularly Mrs. Danvers, who runs everything, seems to be very bitter. The new Mrs. De Winter struggles to fit in. You get to learn, it's told from her point of view, so all the thoughts are in her head, what she's thinking of. She's trying to be a good wife to her husband, but she feels like she's overshadowed constantly by this Rebecca. And as the plot goes on, you start to learn more and more, and everything is not what it seems, without spoiling it for you. But I just love this book. It was written so well, and considering I think it was written in the 30s, even though the language, you can tell the language is quite dated, I just found it such a brilliant, easy read and so much fun. So I'm definitely going to hunt out some more Daphne du Maurier books as I really enjoyed it. And I gave that 5 out of 5. And if you've seen my July favourites video, I actually pulled that out as my favourite book in July. So that is my wrap up for July. I am just about to start reading Cabal by Clive Barker, which is what the film Nightbreed is based on. So I'm dipping my toe back into a bit of horror. Anyone that knows me knows I read across all genres. I'm partial to horror, but haven't been in the mood for it recently, so I'm just getting back into it now. So what are you guys reading? Have you read anything amazing in July? If you have, please let me know. I will be back soon with another video. Please like this video and give me a thumbs up. That's the same thing. Do it anyway. Please subscribe and I'll be back